Hi, I'm Juan Carlos, DevOps engineer here at Git. As DevOps engineers, we are always looking for methods to simplify the creation of infrastructure and applications. There are a lot of useful tools in the market, but today I want to talk about Terraform. Alright, for the first Terraform recommendation, it's to host your Terraform code in Git Repositories. Are you already saving your application code in Git? So why don't you track your infrastructure code as well? Yes, the primary purpose of Terraform is creating your infrastructure with code. But imagine if you only have your files locally and you did a change you didn't plan on your entire infrastructure and left your application unusable. How could you revert those changes to recover from that big mess? Well, you won't be able to do so. But if you will have your code inside Git, you could recover everything with a couple of commands and recreate your infrastructure from that specific point in time. It's a really life-saving idea. For the second Terraform recommendation, it's to auto-format Terraform files. Formatting Terraform files, it's super simple and you can do it in several ways. For instance, you can manually run the Terraform fmt command to format it and make it prettier. As a second option, you can install a VS Code plugin that will format your files whenever you hit the save button. That will really save you a lot of time. You can also even integrate those checkup steps in your continuous integration workflow and notify everyone if your new commit has the right Terraform format or not. For the third tip, it's to avoid hard coding resources. It is very easy to end up hard coding all the default settings, especially when you are running many local tests and you want to save some time. As a best practice, don't hard code values in your Terraform configurations. Instead, the values should be placed as variables. This will help you maintain the integrity and security of your infrastructure. That, remember, is one of the most needed keys to follow in your DevOps process. The tip here is to always use variables for your templates to improve security. For instance, if you want to create an Amazon EC2 instance, do not hard code the AMI ID, instance type, or anything else. You can always use a variable, local, or data block instead, and you will have more dynamic configuration files that can be easily edited and changed from another centralized place, like an external variable file, which will help you maintain multiple environments in the future. That's a really good tip. Now, for the fourth tip, take advantage of built-in functions. Terraform has a lot of built-in functions that help you optimize your code and really simplify your life by integrating those functions into different expressions in your entire template. Here are a few examples. I invite you to dig into Terraform's documentation to learn more about these and more functions. Alright, for the fifth tip, modules. When you work with multiple environments and multiple configuration files or different people on your team, it is very common to repeat code every time a new resource needs to be created. In order to avoid this, we can use Terraform Modules. A module is a collection of related resources. You can put your code within a Terraform module and reuse it numerous times through the lifespan of your Terraform project. You can even share modules so anyone can reuse them freely. For instance, you will be able to reuse code from the same module in both the development and the QA environments rather than having to copy and paste the same code every time. For the sixth tip, manage Terraform State on remote state. The Terraform State, it's a file containing all the Terraform records on your Terraform infrastructure. You can easily see all the resources you created, check their names, check their parameters, and to know everything about the information regarding each of your resources. As you will imagine, this file contains sensitive information, and if you modify or lose this file, your entire infrastructure could get disappeared from Terraform's control. A good practice is to take backups of your state files, but doing that locally will be a mess, and you can increase the possibilities of having disparate versions of your state. In a nutshell, using a remote state simply means that the state file will be stored in a remote server rather than on your local storage. You can also have separated files per environment. For example, we can have the state file in an S3 bucket, and you can read or write from that file every new infrastructure change. Alright, for the seventh tip, use of workspaces. Have you ever wondered how can I control multiple environments with the same configuration files on Terraform? What we can use as better practice to control multiple environments, teams, and pieces of your infrastructure are called workspaces. Workspaces are different instances of state data that can be used from the same working directory, which allow you to manage numerous non-dependent resource groups with the same configuration. The tip here is to use Terraform workspaces to create multiple environments like dev, QA, UAT, production, and more, using the same Terraform configuration files and saving the state files for each environment in the same bucket. So for the 8th tip, avoid storing credentials in your Terraform code. Terraform requires the credentials to your cloud account to provide resources in the cloud. The information that Terraform requires for authentication, it's generally sensitive information that it should be always kept hidden as it grants access to your services. Also, never commit secrets to resource control, including in Terraform configurations. Instead, upload them to secret management systems like HashiCorp Vault, AWS Secrets Manager, or AWS Parameter Store before you reference them. As you can see in the following example, the username and password are passed in plain text format. This should be avoided. Please, do not do this. I encourage you to do this instead. As you can see, we are hiding the sensitive values of our account, and we should do the same for all kinds of credentials like accounts, databases, server accesses, etc. This is a super important practice to do. For the tip number 9, role-based access. Apply the least privilege principle in your configurations. When a lot of services or users have multiple permissions to manage and execute your code, it's way harder to track what's happening there. Besides, as a good practice, you should only allow a specific set of users to edit and apply the Terraform on your infrastructure. It's a really delicate area, and you got to secure control as much as possible. So for the final and I would say the most important tip, automate Terraform deployments with CI/CD pipelines. As a final and in my opinion the most important recommendation, it's to automate Terraform deployments with CI/CD pipelines. Terraform already automates a number of operations on its own. More specifically, it generates, modifies, and versions your cloud and on-premises resources. Using Terraform in the continuous integration and continuous delivery deployment, or best known as CI/CD pipeline, can improve your organization's performance and assure consistent deployments despite the fact that many teams use it locally. These are some extra tips for Terraform in CI/CD specifically. The first recommendation is to have a dedicated infrastructure repository for your Terraform code. It will be easier to manage, and you can give access to it only to a specialized infrastructure team. The second one is to approve new changes only through the pipeline. If your pipeline looks as expected, approve those changes and encourage the team to only make changes from that pipeline. For the third tip, run validation, syntax, and format commands. You should add some jobs in your pipeline that verify if your Terraform syntax is correct. Thank you for watching up to this point. I hope this video helped you to understand a little bit about Terraform and some of its best practices to follow when working with it. And I hope you can implement them in your future projects. If you want to read about even more recommendations, I invite you to see our blog about this topic. We will have it in the description. If you have a project, infrastructure, or application and have questions on how to improve or maintain it, please contact us and we will be glad to help you. I am Juan Carlos and I'll see you soon in the cloud.